What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you a different style of video. If you're new to my channel, you probably have not seen me do a video like this yet. I did a lot of these when I first started out with YouTube, and I figured that I made a video on this topic before, but I wanted to go ahead and cover it real quick because I have so many more subscribers now than I had back then, and I get so many questions and emails about this, about how to figure out your macros for fat loss. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the simplest, most efficient way of doing this without having to do any complex equations. You literally only need a computer, smartphone, tablet, something with an internet connection, and a little basic math skills or a calculator. Calculator works too. So if you guys are ready to see exactly how to break down your macros for cutting, then I'm gonna show you that. Let's do it! Alright guys, and here we are. Isn't this nifty? Look at the technological advances we have on the channel. We are leaps and bounds ahead of the competition. Alright, enough being funny. Apparently some people don't like it when I'm funny. Anyways guys, straight to the point. So what we have here, I'm on google.com, right? But obviously we don't need to be on google.com to calculate macros, but I'm just starting here as a baseline. Everybody's familiar with Google, and here we go. So we're going to go up here, and we're going to type in www.iifym.com, and that's if it fits your macros. So we're going to go to this website, click enter, and boom, here we are, guys. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go up here at the top. You can look at this website, by the way, and they have a bunch of different articles and stuff on here. The biggest thing about this site, though, that I want you guys to know is that they want to make it seem like you got to pay for your macros, and you absolutely do not have to. I'm going to show you guys the best way around that. And keep in mind, by the way, before we dive into this, that this method of getting your macros is going to be about the closest way you can do it without breaking down one of the complex equations required to really dial it in. But doing this gives you a very good ballpark estimate of where you should be, and you're going to be able to adjust up and down depending on your goals. So let me go ahead here. We're going to click on the calculator tab and go down to the IIFYM calculator. And like I think I already mentioned, IIFYM stands for if it fits your macros. Now, you're going to look here and you're going to see that we have all these different options down through here that we can pick, right? So we have, am I a woman? Am I a man? Who knows? It's a mystery. But we're going to go down through here now. I'm going to go ahead and just do this for me, right? So I'm going to choose it. I'm a man. Perfect. Then we're going to go down here to my age. I am 26 years old. Height, 5'10", with the right pair of shoes on. And then right now I'm weighing about 193 pounds in the morning. My goal weight, I'm going to go ahead and leave that one blank. I have not messed with that portion yet. I usually just kind of put in my weight. And we're going to go to my formula. I'd like to use the total body weight formula. Unless you know what your current body fat percentage is, using the lean mass formula is not going to be what you want to do. I wouldn't even recommend estimating that either, because body fat percentage is one of those weird things where you think you're this and you're usually above it, or you think you're this and you're usually below it. It's a weird thing to measure for some people, and everybody holds fat differently. Some people hold fat in their lower back, some people hold it in their legs. They can look really lean up top and hold it down bottom. So unless you have a current DEXA scan or a reliable way to get your body fat percentage tested, I recommend just going with total body weight formula. And we're going to choose daily normal activity. So I'm going to say that I am sedentary. Now you want to look at here, right? You have your sedentary, lightly active, active, very active. The majority of us, I would say 90% or more of us, are going to choose the sedentary option, simply because none of us are really doing a whole lot, right? Right here, what you're seeing, this is my job. We're in my office right now. I sit here, I edit videos, I do client plans, I do check-ins, I email all day. I'm not moving much. So sedentary definitely for me. Now, even be careful with the lightly active, because it says here, spend a good part of the day on your feet like a teacher or a salesman, right? And you got to really be honest with yourself here. Unless you're literally like on your feet all day, moving around quite a bit, and your heart rate's getting up, you're going to be sedentary. Now you're active and you're very active. Those are reserved for maybe someone that carries the mail or someone that's working a construction job, something along those lines. So just be honest with yourself here. I've seen people come into this and they kind of overshoot where they're at. I think people get these false sense of how active they really are, and they like to admit like, well, I'm up and down all day. I'm walking 5 times a day. But in reality, like, you got to think about it. Like, we're not moving a lot. Walking out to the trash can and back doesn't make you lightly active. So I'm going to go sedentary for myself. Now, days per week exercising. I exercise about 7 days a week, and that is going to, now you guys know, by the way, I'm lifting about 6 days a week, and I'm still doing cardio all 7 days. So I'm going to say here, though, I'm doing 7 days of exercise, and I usually lift for about an hour and do 40 minutes of cardio. That puts me at about 100 minutes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that down to about 90 minutes just to factor in that 7th day where I'm not lifting. So we'll go about 90 minutes there. How intense is my exercise? I'm gonna go ahead and say, now here's another thing where you got to be honest with yourself, right? We have light, moderate, difficult, and intense. I would say the majority of people honestly are working out light. Unless you're in there pushing yourself, you are probably, you're probably not working as hard as you could be. And I see this a lot. Like I see groups of people at the gym standing around talking, getting sets and still working out, but they're not really sweating and they're not really like breathing heavy. So I would say for me personally, unless I'm in there pushing myself with my dudes, I'm probably moderate myself. Now, because difficult and intense, intense is going to be like a high intensity interval training, like CrossFit style workout. You're literally going and going and going. If you've seen my CrossFit video, that's a good example of that. And then difficult, I would say my workout last night would have been under the difficult portion, but I was doing a lot of supersets. I wanted to get in and out of the gym because I had a long day. But a moderate is probably going to be honestly for me. And then once again, be honest with yourself. Most people are probably light. And I recommend if you're kind of confused on where to be, start with sedentary and light. Sedentary is your daily activity levels. Light is the intensity of your exercise. And that way, worst case scenario, you're not overshooting anything. You're still making progress. Maybe you're eating a little less than you want to, but if your goal is fat loss, that is going to get you where you need to be. So I'm going to choose moderate. And then we go down here and then boom, that tells me. Now, okay, we look here. We have these different options, right? We have weight loss, performance, bulking, and then enter your own calories. So we're looking here. The number we're most concerned with is our total daily energy expenditure. And what that is basically for everything I do in a day, for me to stay the exact same weight, I got to consume about 2,819 calories a day, right? And then I'm going to subtract from that to reach my deficit. Now, I'm going to say that's, 2819 for me sounds about right here lately because I've been going really hard. And right now I am currently cutting on about 1,900 calories. But the reason I'm going in such a deficit is because I do these eating challenges. And those eating challenges fluff me up beyond belief, especially some of those that top 7,000, 8,000, close to 10,000 calories. So I really got to be in a deficit all week to kind of maintain where I'm at. But for most people, I recommend a deficit of 500. But what we're going to do here, so you can go over here to the weight loss side if you want, suggested, aggressive, reckless. You can look at these different options here, and I don't usually prescribe going for those. What I usually recommend is just take your total daily energy expenditure. Now you're going to see here when I go to calculate, right, for macros, it's going to say, boom, and what's your email address and all this stuff, and they want to charge you. So we're not going to do that. So here's where we're going to open another site. So we know our total daily energy expenditure is 2,819 calories. So I'm going to copy that. Then we're going to open a new tab. We're going to hop right into macronutrientcalculator.com. Now, this website is amazing. I love this site. So let's just start with my total daily energy expenditure, right? Let's say my goal right now was to just stay the exact same, right? I will type in 2,819 here under daily calories, hit calculate, and you're going to see down here, it's going to show us some macros, right? But these aren't really where we want it, and I don't really like their percentages that they use here. I'm going to show you what we're going to do instead. But we look here at the moderate style of diet. We have a high carb diet, a zone diet, and a low carb diet, right? Typically what I'll do is click low carb, and that's going to put us kind of in a ballpark where we want to be. We're still going to need to do some adjusting. So this is if I'm just staying the same weight, right, guys? We have some macros. Now, keep in mind, every gram of fat equals 9 calories. Every gram of protein equals 4 calories. Every gram of carbohydrates equals 4 calories. So what they're doing here is they're giving us some macros based on percentages that they've laid out. So 25% fat, 45% protein, 30% carbohydrates. So you can see here the numbers are a little askew, but we're going to kind of formulate our own. So for me to cut, right, let's say I wasn't doing eating challenges and I was recommending a standard style of cut, right? Typically, depending on how much weight you actually have to lose. Now, keep in mind, if you are extremely heavy, not trying to talk bad, but I'm saying you have, maybe 75 pounds or more to lose, right? You can afford to have a very steep calorie deficit without worrying too much about muscle mass, simply because when your body needs energy, you have plenty of it to give. The leaner you get, you kind of want to maybe decrease your deficit a little bit. That way you're not burning too much into that muscle and you find a good happy medium. What I'm talking about here is going to kind of relate a little bit to me and someone that might only have maybe 50, 40, 30 pounds to lose, all the way down to maybe even just 10 pounds to lose. So we have here, take my 2819. What I'm going to do is subtract 500 calories from that. So that's going to put us roughly at 2319. Now you can go from 500 all the way to 800, as much of a deficit as you want. Just understand the faster you cut, the more likely you are to lose muscle mass. So I'm going to go 2319, right? And now keep in mind, this is assuming that I'm keeping the same workout schedule. My job doesn't change. Everything's the same way I laid it out in the IIFYM calculator. So we're here at 2319 now. Let me go ahead and click calculate. Boom. Now that readjusts the macros over here. You see they have 77 grams of fat, they have 261 grams of protein, and 145 grams of carbohydrates. So that's quite a bit of food right there, in all honesty. Now for me personally, what I typically like to do here, they have the percentages laid out as you can see right here, and I kind of like to just play with these numbers. So I always recommend usually taking my protein, and I weigh 193 pounds right now. I like to do at least 1.2 to 1.5 times my body weight in protein. That's going to ensure we have the maximum amount of amino acids and protein in our system to help us retain muscle mass while we're in a calorie deficit. And also too, protein is the most thermogenic of the macronutrients. The more of it you consume, the more calories your body burns, actually breaking it down and turning it into energy. So I like to keep mine around 1.2. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to pull up a little calculator on the side. I'm going to take my body weight. So 193, we're going to multiply that by 1.2, puts us at about 232 grams of protein. So I'm going to take, and you can take that all the way up to 1.5, by the way. Just understand protein gets expensive the more of it you eat. So we'll do about 232 for me. That's a good number. So you can look down here in the bottom left-hand corner, our total percentage dropped down to 95%. So what that's going to entail is that only 95% of our calories currently on the calculator are being used. So the goal is to get that to 100. So then typically what I'll do now, for me, I cut carbs more than this in my regular diet, but keep in mind that, like I said, this is not taking into consideration my eating challenges. So if I'm going to take carbs, I'm a big fan of keeping carbs under 100 grams for most people, unless you're training all the time. In this, which case I am, and my carbs at the end of the week will average out to more than that based on my eating challenges alone. But we're just playing along here. So let me go ahead. I'll take my fat up a little bit, probably to about 82, and then I'll bump my carbs up. Boom. There we go. So here we go, guys. Roughly, we have about 82 grams of fat, we have 232 grams of protein, and 162 grams of carbohydrates. And all of those are going to add up to 2,319 calories. Now, this would be good for me to start with a cutting diet, keeping in mind that I'm doing 40 minutes of cardio a day, keeping in mind that I'm lifting an hour a day. That's a really good spot for me. But like I said, I do things a little differently because of my eating challenges, but boom, there you have it. Now, you ask maybe what percentage should you keep your fat, what percentage should you keep your carbohydrates? That is going to depend ultimately on how you respond to certain macronutrients, right? Certain people tend to respond better to a lower fat diet. Some people tend to respond better to a lower carbohydrate diet. In my experience, 80% of people are going to respond best to a lower carbohydrate diet and a little bit higher dietary fat. And it really just depends on what your overall goals are and how your body's responding to these macronutrient profiles. That's why I recommend always keeping protein high, just for the muscle retention benefits and just the benefits it has on your metabolism. Keeping protein high regardless. Then you got to play with your fat and play with your carbs. I find I'm best between 75 to 85 grams of fat for me. That's about perfect, especially when I'm focusing on those healthy fats like your coconut oil, your avocado, natural nut butters, stuff along those lines, egg yolks. I'm really good when I have that fat. I found in the past when I cut my fat too low, this is going to be maybe TMI for some of you, but just being real here, guys, when your fat's too low, especially for us males, it's a problem, but it happens to women too, competitor women I've talked to. When your fat's too low, your hormone production does not work optimally. So what happens is you're in a deficit, your body starts shutting down non-essential functions because it wants to keep your energy levels as high as possible, right? So things like your sex drive go out the window, and that is no fun, being all shredded and not having any sex drive at all. And this happens to women too. So I recommend, if you can, keep your fat higher. I used to recommend fat around, for me, like I've cut on like 50 grams of fat before. And just for me personally, that just like shut my whole system down. It was really hard for me to get in the swing of things, and I felt really low energy and stuff. So if you can, I always recommend having higher fat. Typically for a man, I'm going to say anywhere. Now, this all depends too based on what you weigh and your height, right? But I would say a good ballpark estimate is between at least about 55 grams of fat. And if you're a shorter male, you might not need as much fat, but 55 grams of fat all the way up to about 85, 90 grams of fat. Any more than that, unless your bulking is going to be a little detrimental to your goals. But keeping it right in there is optimal for hormone production, but still keeps those calories low. And then carbohydrates, I usually recommend keeping those low. I put a lot of my clients around 100 grams of carbs, depending on their measurements. We usually start there and see how they respond with it. So that's just my 2 cents, guys. But yeah, I think we have covered everything, guys. I can't think of anything else. And by the way, if you wanted to do this for bulking, you can do the same way. You can add the calories in, calculate the macros. But I plan on doing another updated video on how to do your bulking macros. And I want to do another one on how to do a recomp as well. People ask me about recomp. They kind of want to burn fat but kind of gain muscle at the same time. There's a very delicate balance you need for that as well. So I'm going to outline that in another video as well. So let's transition back to the other camera. All right, guys, that was my little learning experience video, if that's what we want to call those. It's been a while since I've done one like that, where I kind of go through and I try to teach you guys something I think you'd find valuable. Love when semis drive by. Teach you guys something that I think you'd find valuable, and and kind of give you some visual representation of that as well. So big fan of videos like that. If you guys like the learning experience videos like that, let me know, because I can do these, guys. And a lot of, when I first started my channel, a lot of what I did was I would like write out meal plans and do all sorts of stuff, and I'd go over them in that format where you can kind of see what we're working with, and I can explain it and break it down. And it's easy for me to do because I love teaching this stuff. For those of you that's you've watched a lot of my last few videos, I've been a little more goofy than usual, right? But that doesn't mean I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm talking about. I try to find a good balance between the knowledge, the humor, the laughs, the fun, the day in the life stuff, all that. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, guys. It is imperative that you do that, simply because it's hard for me to tell what content works and what doesn't without seeing the percentage of likes to dislikes. So if you like the video, like it. If you dislike it, then I don't know what to tell you. How could you dislike this? But it is what it is, guys. So anyways, just to give you guys a quick update, I ordered the Team Dry Soup shirts will be back in stock before the Arnold Classic, which puts us at possibly a week and a half. We have a new color coming in, and I'm gonna try to get those out for everybody who's been asking me about them. And yes, we did sell out of a lot of the green shirts. There's still some sizes left on the site, but I will be restocking those ASAP too. And if you follow me on social media, you've seen some of my new designs. We have 3/4 baseball sleeves coming, and we also have hoodies potentially coming too. So if you're not following me on social media, follow me, and you can keep up with what I got going on. So anyways, guys, that is going to wrap up this video. Let me know in the comments below if you like this style of video and you want to see more like it. If you got specific topics you want me to kind of work with or whatever, I can literally write out learning guides, and I'll just go through them and talk like that and kind of cover some stuff with you guys. So whatever you want to see, you guys let me know. For those of you that showed me love on my video yesterday, I appreciate you guys more than you know. And with that, I'm out of here, guys. Thank you so much for your support as always. And don't forget to smile, remain positive, and pay someone a compliment, because you never know whose day you could be making better. With that, I am out of here. This has been a Remington James production, and I will see you guys at the next video. See you guys.